kusimyo nyabo.
Nti afande.
Unyikamurize star 285#.
Good morning, Uganda. Good morning, traders, wherever it is that you are watching from. You are live on the Customs 101 webinar where we get to talk about anything to do with international trade tax. And today's conversation is particularly beautiful because we are talking about a premier product that every Ugandan should know about. Uganda has been running the AEO program, Authorized Economic Operators Program, for longer than a decade now, and a lot of progress has been registered. And this morning gives me the pleasure to host three people on two sides of the spectrum, and we are going to be having this deep conversation. But if you saw a post that we put on the URA handle earlier today, we talked about two things where we were relating this program to two particular areas that you might be very familiar with. One was the AEO certification, because the program indeed looks into the levels of compliance of many of these traders in a way that AEO certification looks into standards. So for you to be recognized as an AEO, it simply means that you are ticking absolutely all the boxes when it comes to customs procedures and processes and everything to do with the legalities to do with international trade. Now, it gets even more interesting because when you have fulfilled all of those check marks and you've ticked all the boxes, URA or any customs revenue body worldwide, on their part, they go ahead and say, okay, for playing your part, we are also extending something to you by way of premier services. So while many other traders might, get into the specifics of long queues at some of these warehouses and inland depots or customs offices, an AEO gets to spend as little time as possible within the confines of the customs clearance processes. But not my show. I'm not the AEO expert. With me is the manager, risk management within the customs department, and he has everything to do with the AEO program. He's not alone. He has come in with a pair of AEOs. So as you are looking at them, receive and perceive them as the epitome of compliance when it comes to customs clearance processes. Let me get to open this conversation right here, right now, with them making introduction remarks, starting with the guy on my extreme left, nearest left, I must say, Mr. Charles Romanika Gafamsa. The mic is yours. Greet the viewers.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, viewers. My name is Rumanyika Charles Gafabusa. I work in the Risk Management Division of Customs, specifically as a Manager Customs Audit. And within my areas of responsibility is the AEO program.
Thank you so much, Charles, for making the time and joining us on set. Right near Charles is a gentleman called Paul. If you can come in, Paul.
Thank you, Solomon. I am Munyoro Paul by names. I'm working with the Roofings group of companies. Specifically, I'm designated to manage the supply chain at Roofings Rolling Mills Limited, Namamve. I've been with the group for the last 14 years, and I like to appreciate the effort put in to introduce and manage this program. It has been helpful. Thank you, and I wish you nice listening.
Thank you so much, Paul, for making the time and joining us for this very purposeful discussion. And of course, we do have another gentleman and no stranger at all, especially when it comes to international trade facilitation. Please, if you can come in, Mr. Abad.
Thank you, Solomon. Good morning, listeners and viewers. I bring you greetings from the AEO group of the agent section. We are proud to be associated with this program. I am privileged to have been one of the pioneers of the program when it started, and I am still confident that the program is doing well. happy to be part of this discussion and looking forward to fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introductions. I would like to probe you just a little bit more. Paul talked about where he is working at the moment for purposes of, I mean, you get only one opportunity to really tell people about what it is, because now I think people know that for anything to do with roofing solutions, they would be looking out for Paul. What can people look out for you?
I am working for Siva Logistics, which is a freight forwarding company,
One of the best.
one of the best in the world, let me say. And we are dealing with international trade, end-to-end solutions for you. If you have any consignments you are moving from any part of the world, Siva Logistics is your responsible and responsive party to work with. And we have been in this industry for years. In my introduction, I did mention that I have been lucky. I've been around when the program of AEO started, which is basically a compliance-driven program. And if you are working with an AEO wherever you are, like Siva Logistics, rest be assured that your goods will reach safely and that the collectors, Uganda Revenue Authority, will be able to collect their revenue, their share part. And we are looking forward to partner with our colleagues like Roofings here, who are AEOs as well. And you can see Roofings is our client. It means that Roofings took due diligence and partnered with an AEO, a compliant agent. And we're looking forward to also get more clients like Roofings who are compliant in this nature. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abat, for that deep dive. Now the people know. AEO, the program really stands for Safe Expeditious Service Delivery, I must say. But this is the part where Charles comes in and you open the full package. What is the AEO program and what does it mean for Ugandan traders?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think for starters, I don't want to put it possibly in a more elementary form, because sometimes when you make it very academic, it might not augur well. And I'd like to talk about human existence. That for human beings to exist, there must be goods and services.
True.
Goods are what we know in customs as people manufacture, and the customs agent transports. But for those goods to reach the other destination, there are a lot of other things that go in. One, there's movement of money, there's movement of services, there's movement of information, there's movement of documentation. And that one is done by a number of players, the individuals themselves and the entities, business entities. But then we also know that human nature has a temptation sometimes of making it cheaper, quicker, and convenient. And that in most cases conflicts with the standards of survival. Of course, we have had the most common thing we have referred to is the 9/11, where they did the twin bombing of the Americans, but we also know what happened at Lugogo. We also know what happened at Parliamentary Avenue. We've heard of those things. That in this movement of goods, movement information, we could get things that are dangerous. And those are they are made by people, moved by people and entities, and the money that finances them passes through our borders and our systems. And as government agencies, we want control. That has been the history. Control, control, control. But then unfortunately, we are controlling the business we don't understand. So the AEO program is coming to a reality that it's not fair to assume you are the monopoly of expertise and energy and power to control. And therefore, you should partner with those who know the business better, partner with those who are along the value chain, help you control activities within their domain. So that the manufacturer can manufacture goods, a transporter and a clearing agent can transport them properly. And like you said, talking about standard, URA is talking about ISO. Can those goods, can those processes follow to standards? And the consumer at the end of the day gets the best, because you don't want to get the medicine that is contaminated. You don't want to get a poisonous product. You don't want to build a building that collapses. So now AEO is about mutuality, trust, and the cooperation of all us in this value chain to make sure that the end customer gets the best services. And the AEO program or the AEO program operator is that person that government has trusted. Some countries customs, in some countries other government agencies trusted to be partners to make sure that they can control these risks and deliver the best to the community. I think that's summary of the AEO program.
Indeed, it is. You've given it a very human face, but it is said to be a very fundamental game changer, especially when it comes to the revenue mobilization. Are you able to speak to that?
And I think now I'll just talk about a little bit of statistics. And like I said, in the past, you control. But specifically for the AEO program that we are selecting a few that are willing to cooperate. And this one will speak to those who have studied economics or those who have done business, the Pareto principle. That small number of investment, of effort gives you maximum revenue, maximum results. Look at these statistics. That only AEO importers who control 10% of our declarations are giving us 22% of customs revenue. 10% giving you 22% of customer revenue. Let us look at the clearing agents. They are controlling 27% of the declarations, controlling 31% of the CIF value, controlling 25% of revenue. If you put all this together, they are controlling 34% of your custom declarations, 46% of your CIF value, those who know customs, and 44% of your revenue. This is what it means. These AEO are only 131. At least by February, they were 131. And the customs has about 30,000 importers. So 131 people are controlling 44% of your revenue. Now you can imagine how much the phenomenon you're talking about, how much value that one is, that this is the money that we as customs officers, we as revenue administrators can afford to relax and trust someone to do. But remember, talking about domestic revenue mobilization. Now, if these people declare properly, if these people comply to standards, then domestic tax can be very comfortable that their source of domestic revenue is coming from a foundation that is solid. The doctor, the engineer, the contractor who's again built domestic revenue mobilization is sure that the quality is good and losses are minimum. And they will be cleared faster, the cost of business will be lower, the profitability will be higher, and through that profitability I employ more, I consume more, I pay more tax. So that's what it is about. And I think AEO program is a magic bullet to our big challenge of governance efficiency and control. I know you talked about Premier, no wonder it is called a Premier program. No other program in tax administration is Premier. You talked about Premier in football, they talked about Premier in services, this is Premier in tax administration.
I like how you've clearly defined it. Indeed, it is a prestigious program, but it goes more, it goes beyond prestige. But for everything that you've said, we have men in the room who can actually now give us the perspective of what the program is really about from the confines or from the vantage point of the benefit. And I'll start with my friend Abba.
Thank you, our moderator. When you speak about AEO, you are basically speaking about trade facilitation, compliance, and security. And Mr. Charles has put it very clear. For me, where I sit from the clearing angle, this example that we have here, an agent and an importer. It is not by coincidence that the importer that we have here chose the agent that is AEO. So the AEOs that are outside there, we need you on board, because if 25% of AEOs are controlling over 34% of the revenue without hassle by URA. You can imagine if we double the number of AEOs. But to colleagues outside, there are so many benefits. I know we are not yet there, Uganda, but at least the few benefits that we have, we can clearly say that they have benefited the agency. For example, priority in clearing. You know, we are a landlocked country and almost a late importer, although the statistics are now changing. But if you're given priority clearance, they have spoken about 30,000, and the agents are many. You can imagine if I put in a declaration on AEO, another agent puts in a declaration with an AEO. The treatment is definitely different. The treatment is definitely different across all stages because the Ugandan AEO program has expanded. It's not only locally here in Uganda, it's a regional program, and now I think they are doing global programs. They have signed some agreements with international bodies. So it's an international program. So if you are there and you have priority clearance as an AEO, it is something that saves you money. If you're an AEO, you are granted pre-clearance when you ask. What are the checks that you have to fill? Pre-clearance enables you to do your documentation in advance, so that when the goods arrive at the ports of entry, you are simply doing the perfection, ensuring that you're delivering in time. Another benefit is if you're given an EA by URA, you have a relationship manager, because it's a premium program. Let me borrow that word, because there is somebody at URA who is listening to you. We have an association that voices the grievances of AEOs. So if there is any challenge and I am clearing your cargo, rest assured that it will move, because I have the contact at URA and the relationship manager that will speak to make sure that your goods reach in time. There are so many benefits, but we shall go through them around it.
Thank you so much. But you know, I've had tales about Ugandans who have been able to tap into a level of money and a level of relationships with their banks, and they're able to, you know, get served even way after hours. You're talking about 8, 9 p.m. There's a deal that needs to be closed. Money will be available to such people. Is that something that is similar to what you're experiencing? Is that what you're speaking about when it comes to the context of it?
We're almost there. I could say 90% there, because we have that person who is readily available. The unfortunate thing is that when you have an entry register, there are so many other third parties intervening with that. And those third parties or stakeholders, I may call them, they are not necessarily URA. Now, those stakeholders, once they are brought on board, support the AEO program, then we are talking about. But the other stakeholders, I could give an example.
Please.
We have ministries and departments that are interested in that transaction that an AEO has registered. Whereas URA is looking at me as an AEO. The Uganda National Bureau of Standards has a different angle. Ministry of Agriculture has a different angle. PRO, National Drug Authority. So until those also come on board, then we shall be having 100%. But as we speak, we are around 90. 10% would be supplement.
Thank you so much, Abat, for creating that context. It was important that it comes out very clearly, because the beauty with the program, like the one we are having right now, policymakers, the people that make key decisions in these very MDAs that we are talking about, are tuned in. So if they get to hear it from the horse's mouth, it can only make for better advocacy, if I may use that word. Maybe sooner rather than later, we might get to that 100 if that response is being accorded to us. This brings me to my friend Paul.
Yes,
I would
please.
like to test a bit of what it is from the vantage point of a company, because our friend Abbott is actually an enabler to you. What has it been like for you as a company that is also AEO?
Thank you, Solomon. I like to give it a perspective in comparative terms.
Please.
There was a time before AEO, and we have the time after AEO.
You're sounding biblical. You know the Bible has BC and AD.
No, just to sound just actual.
I get you.
There was a time before and now after, and we are into it now. I'd like to tell you that the benefits that we get from AEO as a manufacturer, as an agent, and otherwise are enormous. The first one, and the one which I consider most critical, is self-management. Self-management, I mean the power to do your things by yourself. This power has been given by customs, like Charles has explained. You can, in-house, do your own declaration. You don't need to ask somebody else to do it for you. That's one. You can operate accounts against which when you make a declaration, the taxes are received almost automatically. In 2-3 minutes, a declaration by customs or by us as agents to customs would have been released. So that self-management facilitates the customer, who is the manufacturer in this case, or a warehouse bond operator, to do things quickly and at his own time and at his own place of abode. This leads me to the second benefit, or another benefit, which is time. Before AEO, Charles will agree with me that we used to have a big hassle. We used to do up to 21 days for clearance of goods from Mombasa to Kampala. 21 days, almost a full month. Now, we can afford to do 2 days, and cargo is delivered from Mombasa to Kampala. That's on road, and maximum 3 days. And on rail, we can now do 5 days, maximum 7 days, with the challenges notwithstanding. But that has reduced that time because there are other things that come along. One, the paperwork has reduced. We used to do a lot of declarations. At the port, we used to do a declaration. At the border, we could do another declaration. On arrival, we could do another one. And then at consumption, we could again do another declaration. We now have a single declaration to make to cover the movement of the cargo from port up to destination. We receive the cargo ourselves, we verify it, we partner with the people who move it, they move it. Some of them are AEOs, as Albert has explained, and we take pride in that. Because when you are dealing with an AEO, you have no fear of loss. You have the security, which AEO is talking about, and the goods are secure. There's another benefit to this, the self-audit, which is named in the AEO program. This ensures that you do your job. You self-check yourself. When customs is coming to check you, you have no fear or doubt that what you are doing is right. You have done your reconciliations. You have done the checkups to know whether there are any mistakes. And when there are any, you disclose them to the party that has given you the power. Challenges notwithstanding, we find that these benefits are quite crucial to the business. They help us increase on the output because we are production companies, and they help us to relate with other people very well under the MRAs that we do. For example, as an agent, you can operate in Uganda and you can operate in Kenya very easily, which is very, very, very helpful. Finally, for now, I wanted to talk about the first refund procedures under the domestic tax. Before, it used to be very difficult, but with the enhancement of this system and the improvement and even adding other systems, we have been able to process refunds very fast without any hassle. I thank you for now.
Thank you so much, Paul, for sharing the experience of a manufacturer that is reaping huge dividends from being a part of the AEO program. I would like to ask another question, but it is two in one.
Yeah.
The first question, the precursor to the question that I would really like to ask is, are you a local AEO or an international AEO? Is any of you an international AEO?
We are both.
You're both
Yes,
local and
we
international.
are national and regional.
But
I
now-
wish you could be international.
Now, the reason why I asked that question was for us to appreciate the levels or the depths when it comes to the benefits that you actually get to enjoy as an authorized economic operator that is being recognized beyond the borders of Uganda. Would you speak to some of those benefits?
Well, the benefits that we derive from the local program are similar to those that are in the wider spectrum of the region. But of course, the region being with different countries and some of them operate different programs, it is an added advantage. What I want to say is that if you are nationally an AEO, you are already catered for in the country. Yeah. But when you expand your tentacles to the region, then you can operate without fear with, say, the agencies in Tanzania, the agencies in Kenya, in Sudan, in Congo. You will operate with them. Or if you can afford, you can set up there and operate as you as well, which is still okay, because under recognition agreements, we are allowed to operate in the whole region, which is an addition again to this. So whatever we derive from the national AEO program, we can derive even more from the regional areas. That's what I would, unless I missed something, what you wanted, but that's how I have understood. So when we identify ourselves as people who are operating safe business, we derive a lot. People will say we can deal with those people. And we are also not afraid to deal with parties that are beyond our borders. Thank you.
Thank you so much for really breaking it down. Indeed, that is what I was probing for.
Yeah.
And you've been able to explain it quite well. Now, the next question is a question that I would like to bring to Charles. And I'll borrow some of the words that Abbott said. There was life before the AEO. Then there is life during the AEO program. But what does the future look like? Where are we going with this program, Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'll pick from what my colleague from roofing said the before. 21 days for you to clear goods through a government agency. And I want us to put this one into perspective. My colleagues will validate. When you are shipping the goods, you're given a number of days, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
If those days pass, you start paying. Now, one of the things you pay is a container retention charge. It could be about $100.
Call it demurrage.
Demurrage. Another one could be a trucker retention charge, maybe another $100. Maybe the driver and the turnman, it could be possibly 50 because those you can negotiate. So those are 200 $250 per day. Now, for 21 days, you are now spending $5,250
On one consignment.
on one container because it has taken 21 days. This entry that has delayed in your system, on this entry you have delayed process because of standards, because of assessment, whatever reason it could be. Now, some of these people move in about 1,000 containers or more in a year. Now, 1,000 containers in a year times 5,200, that's $5 million loss. And they are not charity. It is the price of goods. It is the medicine that has late come to hospital. It is your patient that wants your sample to go to South Africa for testing. 21 days, it has already been contaminated. This is a loss. It's a loss that would have expanded the business. It's a loss that would claim domestic tax. For lack of better word, but I'll say it is a loss that no one is ready to relate, and therefore he's willing to pay 10% through corruption to survive. So you see, your system is in itself inducing corruption because they are not charity. So I wanted that one to sink in. Now, and possibly that is the journey. That one of the achievements is that from 21 days, we are now possibly 2-3 days, sometimes 1 day, and possibly we have saved this money. So that's a profit margin that comes to you. That's a business turnover. That's the confidence for investment and employment. I wanted to look at it from that perspective. So now we have got people who control 40%, 30% of your transactions. Imagine what that one is.
The AEOs control 40%.
35% your declaration, 44% your revenue, times the 21 days, times the figures. How much money are we losing? And this money is not ours. The container is for someone
Shipping
abroad.
line.
So this is $1 going outside the country. This is $1 expatriated. This is the demand on the dollar that is not followed by production. And therefore the exchange rate goes high, and you're complaining, blaming Bank of Uganda, blaming the government for bad exchange rate. It is us. Because the dollar price is demand and supply. If I demand more dollars without bringing goods, without producing, then the price goes high. So this is one person. So now the journey we have done so far is to try and address this. That when I reduce from 21 days to possibly 1 day, then I have saved $5 million from one client who has got 1,000 containers. Some of them have got 2,000 in a year. So that's $10 million.
Essentially, if I'm getting you right, millions of US dollars were getting lost to time spent on this deal.
No, it's time spent on our value chain.
Yeah.
Like time spent between Mombasa and Kampala, not on the oceans. So that is moving in, but we have not talked about moving back. And then you complain that Uganda is not investor friendly, or the government is not supporting investment, or Uganda is not promoting employment. You are demonstrating on the street. This is the cause. I just wanted to speak to reality so people possibly can understand when you see some people passionate about what it is. This is the money that possibly someone is going to borrow from the bank and pay 21%, 26% in our interest. So losing this one, borrowing 26%, you're surprised why you have got the highest business turnover. Collapsing, they call it turnover, but that turnover collapsing.
Yeah.
Goods are not coming in fast.
Businesses are collapsing fast because our businesses, our processes are becoming a source of loss. The world says Uganda has the highest innovation rate, highest business startup rate, and highest business collapse rate. This is one of them. So I'll just speak to that. And I think the future for the future.
All of this is before the program.
All of this is because of the inconveniences of inefficiencies along the value chain. And therefore the program of AEO is supposed to address that. And the program of AEO is addressing it for those who are on the program, which means those who are not in the program must be suffering because they are not trusted, because they are not declaring well, because they are not willing to partner with us. So there must be a comparison between these who are AEOs and those who are not. when you go to the bank and there's a the other diplomatic lane and you go straight, another one is in a queue, you see the difference. That's what it means in the bank. This big man passes you, goes and gets a VIP room, premier, and for you, you're still in the queue there waiting for them. That's what it means. So one is that's the value of the program.
I can share a very quick experience.
But then two is for us to bring all people on board this program so that we can make business efficient. We are the losers of this money. You can never be a middle income, progressive income if you're losing this money. The president talks about exporting jobs, exporting money. We're exporting inefficiency and making another person benefit. So that's the AEO program. So for us as partners, for us as government agencies, we need to look at that one. And that's the future. So far, those are the achievements that we are trying to address this one. We are trying to invest in a culture of trust and cooperation. And that takes me to what the other question you asked, what is the future? The future, I think we need to have a mindset change as a country. Because I know at one time we started something called balanced scorecard. URA started it and it was very strange, but now it is catching up everywhere. We are not going to run away from supporting trade, especially now that Uganda is becoming an investment hub. Industrial parks, export processing zones, those need to export, so they must be efficient. So we need to have a mindset change. We need to fast track automation of the AEO program so that we can have visibility. We need to build trust. And we need now, future is that the AEO, which is about standards, which is about governance, the Japanese call it total quality management, make it right first time, is through the AEO program. In customs, they call the AEO program. In domestic tax, they call it the cooperative compliance program. Same principle, that the client is willing to drive his business. So that is the future. So the future of this is basically about mindset change, is about us automating, is us making AEO the engine of governance and processes. And the future is about us now addressing the remaining blind spots along the AEO. How do we manage transshipments? How do we manage transit hubs? How do we manage transit procedures? How do we manage emerging free zones? And how do we leverage the principle of mutual recognition arrangements? Because you asked my colleague, Mr. Munyoro, what happens across the border? And I want to give it from an analogy of a flood. What causes a flood? Because there is surplus water from somewhere and there's a bottleneck. So because we are promoting the AEO program and they are moving faster, they cannot afford to go to Kenya, they cannot afford to go to Tanzania, they cannot afford to go to Europe and get stuck. So the MRA program is that an AEO that is considered friendly and trusted in Uganda and therefore supported to move faster, he should move as fast. Because it makes no sense to save this gentleman 21 days and they get spoiled in Kenya. It makes no sense for save this man 30 days and they get spoiled in the border in Europe. So mutual arrangement program, mutual recognition arrangement, partnership is basically saying that the value chain for AEO is clear from source to destination. So far we have got two. We are implementing one with China. We are implementing one with South Africa. We are negotiating one potential with Egypt. We have got an expression of interest from Russia. We have got a potential negotiation of India with the East African community and the European Union coming to the East African community. We have got Brazil taking interest. So they might be isolated countries, but now some of these, even when there's no trade with Brazil, it puts you at a level to be recognized so that you can become a good partner for marriage. So if I sign with Brazil, even if I don't have trade, then the South American bloc knows there is Uganda. Then we become good parties for potential marriage.
All of a sudden, you look very lucrative.
Yeah, we must look very appealing.
I appreciate the future that you have shared there. It looks good. It looks
But then also another one before is we also need to look at government agencies. Albert talked about it. And where we are going, it's very possible that in a very short time, government will adopt an AEO program as a national program. The name might vary, but the principle of supply chain security, the principle of partnership with government agencies, the principle of ensuring that the value chain is clear. The one-stop border post, one service point, you have one down here. It's AEO, but there's a different name. Fast, efficient, cost effective.
We have a hub in Gulu, the logistics hub.
Same thing. The name might change, the color might change, the principle is the same.
Smell will be the same.
I wanted to ask you a question that is related to that. You painted a picture. Are there things, are there interventions, are there approaches to doing business that URA is putting in place to actually enable this very future that you have painted?
Yes, yes. One approach, of course, is to expand automation and the role of IT. Because a manual process that is not visible is very problematic. Manual process is like you being here and you don't know what's in your home. But when you have a CCTV, you can see who is working in your compound. So automation makes business visible, transparent, and trusted. So the URA's investment in IT is critical. And that's why we are progressing, we are fast-tracking automation of the AEO program. Another area is performance management. That what cannot be measured cannot be performed. And we therefore must have, we are moving towards a robust M&E, a robust performance management. I know now it is skewed towards revenue, but when you look at our performance contract, like asset cross-cutting, essential about service related.
True.
So how do you clear them? How do you respond to the client? How do you innovate a business process that facilitates? So that's URA has done it. Another one is training and engagement, something like this. Then also another one is building culture of trust, building a culture of relationships, and knowing what we want in those relationships. Because it is one thing to enter a house that you don't know whether you're going to sleep or stand. So you must go to the bedroom when it's time for sleep. It's not for playing football. So we must know what we want in this relationship and purpose to deliver on those.
Thank you so much, Charles. You spoke from the heart there. I'm sure staff who are tuned in are able to recognize or relate with exactly what you just described. But I would like to get the very same question and extend it to my brothers on the benefactor side of the spectrum. What are those things that are still itchy issues that you would like to see URA looking into to take this program to the next level?
Thank you, Solomon. From the agency, I did mention one, which is bringing on board the rest of the stakeholders,
The MDS.
MDS, and indeed Charles clearly stated that that's the vision of URA, that is the vision of government to make sure that we have a national AEO program. Once that is on board, then we should be good to go. But suffice to say that there are other benefits we are looking for. And we will put forward our proposals to URA to make sure that some of those proposals can be given to the AEO program. Because the framers of the AEO program did it in a way to reward compliance. Because for you to be an AEO, the journey that you go through, even without URA, to make sure that your systems and procedures are, for example, ISO certified, is an expensive journey. So once you become an AEO, in a way, this is supposed to be a reward, but in a manner that it is facilitating trade and ensuring. So there are other benefits along the value chain that we are proposing to the Uganda Revenue Authority, and I would mention a couple of them here.
Please, please.
We do manage the movement of goods, wherever it's coming from, and keep it what, where we pick it again as agents and deliver it to this working as an example. Now, there are certain rights within there which URA should entrust with the AEO. I'll give an example. The right to put a consignment. You know, we are working 24/7. I have declared an export in Kampala. It is on a Saturday. And I have this transit document that I need to activate in the system so that goods can move. Now that right to buy is something that we're looking for. We can save a Sunday. We can save 6 hours. Because for us, time is money. So the right to depart a transaction It's something that can be given to beneficiaries. Because you see, this transaction, we are managing it from Uganda to destination. In fact, once it reaches to Mombasa, we are now managing it with the shipping lines and importers together. If we can be trusted to move that container on the sea from Mombasa to wherever it is going, UK to China, why can't I be given a right to depart this transaction? Moreover, I'm going to take 20 days with it on sea. How come can't I be given just 1 hour to depart? The same applies when it is in Mombasa coming. So there are lots of controls that URA has put in place that we feel that the trusted AEOs that are contributing 40%, those controls are given to us, should be able to improve on the delivery timelines, be able to meet the requirements of our clients in Uganda and abroad. The other request we are making to URA is to continue, advocating for this program. When you come into URA, you are rest assured that from the supervisory level going up, they know what this AEO program is. So we want this message to go down to the root soldier. Because when we are dealing with this transaction, we will not be dealing with just money, I will not be dealing with the system. I know I have a phone, I can call him because I'm stuck. But we want this AEO program to be known. And URA is a changing organization. Today you are with this officer, tomorrow with the other. This officer knows about it, but the other officer does not know. So we want that sensitization and that's what the food soldiers want.
Thank you so much, Abat, for really breaking it down. 2 pregnant points have been made. The one of URA trusting you with the right to depart. It makes so much sense because it can only enable the essence of the program, which is trade facilitation. Then the one for advocacy, that one I can guarantee you we are going to partner with Charles, the public and profit affairs team is working on the program with the AEO team to make sure that the gospel of the program goes down to the very last URA. Rest assured. Yes. I would like to get the perspective of my friend Paul. What are some of those areas that you would like to see URA putting its finger on so that the program can be taken to the next step for you as a manufacturer?
Okay, for me, first of all, I like to appreciate their efforts. We have come from far. Like I've told you before and after, it makes a lot of sense for me to talk in that perspective. I will tell you that they did a lot of in IT engineering. We rarely have the challenge. Herbert can tell you, we used to have network off for hours. These days, we can have it maybe for a few minutes. If it must be a big thing, URA has communicated. And that is something very good. So we like that they progress in that regard and improve even better. There's another thing that has always been my concern, and Herbert has mentioned it in another way. Everybody in this safe framework needs to know about what we are doing. Let us not keep this like something we have put in the armpit so that people who are enjoy it alone. Let us share the training. The agents and customs together so that we learn to know, like we do under Incoterms. We know who is responsible for this from this stage to that stage. When we train together, we shall reduce the acrimony of crashing, of disagreeing, because we shall resolve it there and then. I think that is a very good thing. We did it a few times, but it has slackened. Then there is one change which normally takes place for officers, SRMs. Sometimes we get to know that SRMs have been changed, but we never even interact with them. Sometimes they don't even visit the place. Maybe because we are complying, but I'm looking at it in a way because the human nature is such that if they get too used to something, they may relax. I'm not saying they should monitor them because there is that tendency, but it is very important for officers to show up. It is a good way to interact, to learn. I will give you an example. There's a time we had a SRM. She was with us almost on weekly basis. But the person they allocated us after that one was too busy because they gave them a lot of responsibility and only came to hand over when their period of stay was over. We did not benefit from his wisdom, neither could he benefit from what we wanted to complain or something. The last thing that I wanted to communicate about AEOs, we are dealing mainly with customs as our, they are our fathers. But there are so many other parties that we deal with where we would want to derive benefits that we are deriving from URA. For example, authorities of ports. Some of them are having a lot of powers and they have statutory charges. Even some of them look quite arbitrary. But we have to meet them and pay them because this is something which is in government. You cannot fight it. It requires to go through a whole procedure to either waive or reduce them. Because the reason I talk about this, the main reason a manufacturer or a producer is around is to look at how can I do it in a cheaper way. URA has saved us paperwork. We used to spend a lot of money on paperwork. We have saved on that. What about the Kenya Ports Authority? If they can save me a certain cost, I will reduce the cost of production and movement of cargo. And in that way, I will serve a wider spectrum. I thank you, Solomon.
Thank you so much, Paul, for sharing that insight from the perspective of the manufacturer. Indeed, it is in consonance with what Albert shared. I'm sure Charles has been taking notes, and he's going to be able to relay this information to where it really needs to go. Now, the next question that I would like to ask Charles is the question to do with the theme that WCO is running with this financial year. And how is URA aligning with that theme? Because, we plug into a global body that superintends over how trade facilitation is actually managed worldwide.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think you would allow me to read out this theme verbatim, and possibly from that theme, I address the issues that my colleagues have brought on board.
Please.
We all know that international trade is governed by two bodies: World Trade Organization, the World Customs Organization. World Trade Organization is more of a facilitative policy arm of the world trade, for which you are obligated to comply because you are parties to that protocol. But then World Trade Organization has delegated a lot of movement control standard issues to World Customs, because World Customs is essentially dealing with the goods. So whatever you hear coming out of World Customs, essentially what is coming out of World Trade Organization is potentially what we as a country and as partners are obligated to comply with, because we are signatories to those protocols. And that's the first legal framework that what we talk about is enshrined in the law by the by the virtue of the protocols we signed. Now, the theme for World Customs for 2024 is that customs engaging traditional and new partners with a purpose. We have the old ones. We must focus on the new ones because a lot of business is emerging. So how do we engage the traditional ones? Make them satisfied, because the traditional will bring the new ones on board. Even a business that expands produces another business. And how do we now look for the new ones without forgetting to have the old ones? Just back to URA. Were our top taxpayers 10 years ago? Where are they now? Or have we forgotten them and look for the new boys on the kids on the block? That's the, see, I'm now trying to make it real. Huh? Back to customs, who were our clients that would bring in 10, 30, 40 containers in a month? Where are they? How do we look out for them and understand them and support them? And at the same time, how do we bring the new ones? And the theme says that we should find new and diverse contacts with the intention of identifying relationships with outcomes. Can we be intentional in how we relate? Can we be intentional in how we relate, we identify them? Can we be able to define outcomes? Because when you define those outcomes, you're able to measure them. You're able to deliver on them, and you're able to make them satisfied. Essentially, that's, in many words or few words, that's the theme. Old partners, new partners. Seek them out, be intentional with how you relate with them, and ensure that you have got outcomes that are mutual, cooperative, respectful, and delivered by both. And having talked about that, I think I'd like to go back to say what we as customs, what we as URA are doing. And I think it's picking from starting from my colleague from Roofings. And that's being addressed by the new structure. That yes, at one time we had only 10 AEOs. They grew to 15, they grew to 20, now they are 160, but you still have the same 6 staff. So the staff client ratio is too much. That sometimes you also get lost in the maze. You realize they are still 6, they are still 6. And one of the proposals
the 6 staff, the 10, they're now serving 160.
Yeah. So, but now in the new structure, and of course, that's not a fault of URA, it's a fault of the budget, it's a fault of resources, a fault of ability. Even when the willingness is there, we are not able. The new structure has proposed to increase possibly by 60% of that number. They hope as the number increases, then the staff client ratio increases, and it is easier. That's one strategy. And another strategy we are doing in terms of, back to the theme of WCO, engage into partnerships. First of all, understand the principle of risk. So at Uganda Bureau of Standards, agriculture or any other government agency, and URA, customs, URA, domestic tax, understand the risk in the same perspective. And then we can agree who along the value chain can manage which risk. And then for us to know that by us trusting, we are better off because we are reducing workload. I'll give you an example. We have got possibly about 20 bonds, self-managed. If every bond has 40 officers, those are 40 officers confined to the bonds. Imagine if I trusted them and they manage their own bond, that means they have 40 officers free.
Staff.
Would you be happy if you have 40 officers in your docket?
100%.
I'm controlling 34% of the transactions. Each of those transactions has close to about 6 officers. The one who validates arrival, the one who validates departure, the one who verifies, the one who assesses first level, the one who assesses second level, and possibly enforcement that intervenes. Those are 7. So 34% of your CF of your transactions times 7 officers. I don't know, I need to get the number 34%. Those could be about possibly 10,000 transactions times 7 officers. How much have you saved? So if we agreed on how to manage risk and agreed on how we can share that responsibility of risk, then we would reduce the workload and allow people to manage themselves. So that's another strategy. And it's part of the program we want to implement. And then we shall have CRMs dedicated to focus on something that matter. Another thing is also now to mainstream AEO program in a URA training curriculum. It should be about me coming to this show for 30 minutes and then disappear for another 6 months. Our agenda is to make it part of the URA training curriculum, that an officer who joins URA knows about cooperative compliance, which is domestic tax based, and AEO, which is customs based. The agents training also does the same thing. So now it becomes part of our culture. That's another strategy. Advocacy. How do you do advocacy? And possibly this is what I want to say for the AEOs that are out there and for us. The program we have is what we're discussing with the public and corporate affairs, is that every day we have events here. And they see a lot of flyers. We need to see how to move and that allow every AEO to come and put its banner, its flyer, so that it is visible as a premium client. Then the staff says, hey, there's roofings. Hey, there's Seva. Hey, there's Bolore. Why among others? Then that's part of the mindset change at no cost.
You're speaking to free co-branding opportunities.
Co-branding. If they are having their own, they should allow us to put ours. Because they have got a clientele that we don't see. The principle of multiply effect. So I'm speaking this one so that they don't have now to go back through the corridors. That possibly you pick it up if you can help me do that one.
Consider it pick.
Then we manage. Then another, of course, is now now that's internal stakeholder and external stakeholder. Then the last one is, of course, about rights. And Abed talked about rights. I think we needed to go back. Like you said, it's a journey. The journey was put systems. The journey was get trust. The journey was improve automation, which we're now going through AEO ERMS. We're now in the pilot stage. Possibly if God is on our side short, it will be out and running. And that one increases visibility, increases controls, and gives confidence. And that one also helps us to map the value chain. Albert is talking about departure rights. My genuine opinion is that I don't need to depart you from the bond. After all, you're controlling your own bond. What part does it party to do? After all, you're departing an entry that I've already processed and assessed and released. You get it? So why do I spend more time waiting for a departure? Let him depart at night if he wants. What is wrong with him departing it? After all, I'm going to cross the border and there's a customs officer. You cannot depart what you not cross the border. And that border is an OSBP. Arrival, exit, arrival, exit. So there's a control at the border, at the bond, control at the port, Malaba, control at the port again by Kenya, control at the port in Kenya, control at the other side of the ocean. So I can afford to say, boss, proceed. Some of these levels of control, let me remain with one key and take others. Or let you take all of them. After all, I've trusted your systems, your processes, your procedures. I can come and audit you. That's why we do post-clearance audit. Look at this risk. Uganda's biggest import foreign exchange earned is gold. Gold does not get rotten. Huh? The next is coffee. That delay in the departure means a ship has gone. That ship going means another 3 weeks. That 3 weeks means the stock market has changed. That means business lost. That means penalties. That means the coffee losing its flavor, its taste, its value because it has taken longer than the time it is required. And because they want to control, doesn't that make sense? So we need to understand our business. We need to trust our clients. We need to partner with them to do what we can do. But I'm departing. What am I departing? I am seeding. What am I seeding? In any case, he has already sealed himself. Why doesn't he seal himself and takes responsibility for the value chain? Thank you.
Thank you so much. As you were making those submissions, I was lost in the day. Like you were speaking to the essence of the matter, especially when you started to give practical examples.
And maybe the last
The
one, sorry,
element of copy really stood
yeah,
out.
yeah, the last one is the benefits. In the past, we had the benefit scheme, and we have very many benefits. But then because we are being nurtured and growing, they were generic. First clearance. An officer will ask, what does first clearance mean? We are 3,000 staff. Those are 3,000 interpretations. Those are 3,000 standards, and you're talking with ISO. You see how you're kidding yourself, huh? Purporting to be working, but you're actually not working. Purporting to be delivering, but the client you're serving is angry. So what did we do? We changed it. Huh? We now we're about to roll out a benefits manual, and that benefits manual has got 24 parameters. What's the benefit? What pain does it address? What is the legal framework? Who is the responsibility center? Who is accountable? What is the measure of performance? How do I report a failure? How do I discipline or reward? Then an officer in Koboko, an officer in Bunagana, an officer in Dar es Salaam knows that first clearance means A, B, C, D. When you go to hospital and they're going to the theater, you see how the doctors are detailed. Where is this machine? Where is this machine? Where is this machine? This nurse handles this. If you went in that theater and everyone is Vorongoto, you'll not come out. So that's how we are now changing the benefits manual to make it as detailed as possible, so that they can hold us accountable, we can hold them accountable, we can measure. And that's what I'm seeing there as AEO for benefits for AEO program.
Absolutely.
And I think when it is out, it will be the best. No one in the world has it. I'm very sure about it. We are now publishing it. No one has it in the world. I can assure you of that.
I like that.
This financial year, it's coming out.
That should come out.
100%. Does it get better than that?
I think it's getting exciting. We are eagerly waiting to have that new benefits manual. And like I said at the beginning, the journey of volunteering, voluntary compliance is expensive at the start, but along the value chain, the benefits start coming in. So you prepare yourself, and at the end, the benefits will speak. So we are looking forward to the new benefits manual. And trust me, the agents who are out there are also looking forward to join the partners.
100%. Thank you so much. Now, I have just two more questions. One for the two of you, and one for Charles, and we shall probably go for the party shop and call it a discussion. And the question that I would like to ask you, Paul, and is a question of because I mean, so many people have been watching the show, and they're probably contemplating and considering and thinking maybe it is time for me to try to get myself into the space of being an AEO. What is that one thing that you can speak to that you've actually been able to benefit as a person who's doing business? Because the bottom line of anyone doing business is fresh business opportunities. Now, the people would like to know, are there moments where you have actually tapped into a new business opportunity and you look back at it and you're like, if I was not an AEO, I would not have been able to close in on this business?
Yes, and people have started picking up the AEO concept. And there are some evaluations. I've seen some corporate companies putting out tenders. And in the evaluation, in the question, is this agent an AEO? And it's not by coincidence that I'm clearing for roofing. I am sure and certain that maybe roofing, if there is any other agent that is clearing, is. So the word outside there is watching us, and it clearly knows that AEOs, client agents, and these are the people's person. So it's definitely.
It is a gate opening, not even a door opening, the program. Thank you so much. What has been your experience, Paul?
I think, like he said, I should say it is peaking and it is at a stage of takeoff. And for us on the side, I am not a spokesperson of our company, neither the group, but I can comfortably say that we are getting more clients now in terms of sales. We do more sales than we did last year. We do more sales than we did the other year, and even before AEO was. And this is because of the continuous improvement, the Kaizen thing that we adopt. Every other time, we are looking at how we can do it better. And this one is not just to impress, but to serve the nation with quality stuff. And then it will be the community or the buyers, for that matter, who will now sell the name. When somebody hears a name that he takes pride in, says, is it so and so? Oh, that is it. Where are you buying your suits? Is it this place? That's the same place I buy. So there is that trend towards agreeing that an AEO is a person you can confide in, is a person you can deal with, is a person you can serve. I think it is the way to go.
Thank you so much. You couldn't have put it any better than that. And that brings me to Charles's last question. You know, there's this thinking that the program is for big boys only. And by big boys, I'm talking about big corporations, big companies, and maybe multinationals. Is there any credence to that notion, or even normal SME can actually get onto the program for as long as they've been able to have a track record that is verifiable when it comes to the compliance side?
Yeah, maybe to answer that, I will start from a statement that compliance is expensive. Expensive in a sense that you forego shortcuts to live better and longer for those who want short-term things. And also expensive in a sense that you must put in place systems, processes, procedures, standards that can assure the other person that they are safe. And what are these systems? For example, do you have a clear governance structure? There's separation of powers. Are the records well kept? Because for some of us who do business, the expenditure is in my head, the money is in my pocket. And when you come to ask me, you see, against another China, in Ngula. So that requires you having records, having accountants, having auditors, and that's an extra cost. For some with the physical security, because there are two types of compliance programs. One is for compliance, essentially about revenue. Another is for health, safety, and security. That when you're producing those drugs, the rat should not come in. A stranger should not contaminate it, so that I don't get a drug resistance down the road. You heard about drug resistance, ticks are not dying, fertilizers are not working, you get it, So those requires meticulous infrastructure that sometimes could be costly for what we call small scale. And then sadly, that because the AEO program came on board, it came from the foreign land. Those who knew it from the foreign land adopted it faster. So the brand that was created was it's for the big boys. But the AEO program is about security, and security is for everyone. Even in your home, however small it is, one bedroom, you want it secure. Whether I'm sleeping in Porolo or I'm sleeping in my bed, you want it secure. So we're now adapting some security controls that are convenient for you, me down in Fort Portal. In as much as it is as convenient someone on the top of Pololo. That's the agenda we're on, because and it has been working, because some of the players are very small, actually, very small, especially our customs agents. So AEO program is not for the rich. AEO program is for everyone. AEO program is for ensuring that what food goes on the table is safe. what revenue small, whatever it could be, is safe. That the terrorist does not pass your gate. That the drug you produce and the food you supply is not contaminated, because that creates health challenge. We're also tweeting that a bit to engender AEO program. And there's something called Women in Business, Women in AEO. Or sometimes also people want to say AEO is for men. So we want to see how do we get the soft gender of the small and medium, the soft gender of the women-led businesses. The other day we had Jennifer here. He was one of our good examples. Of course, he's a lady, but also large scale. We want to bring the small ones. So just to assure you and the public that AEO is for everyone, and we are now, please come to us. There's already a program to manage the small and medium. When you approach us now, we can craft something that can serve you. And we're making it better by structuring the AEO program through what we call the tier system. That instead of you being the topmost, you can come and study P1, go to P7, go to senior, go to university, go to get a doctorate. And all that value chain in a structured way will apply and serve all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles. Very last question, because now I want to sound like a person who has been listening in, and altar call has been made, and now I want to choose Christ. In this case, AEO. For someone who is convinced and they're out there and they would like to know, how do I get on board? How do they start to go about this process?
Yeah, the journey is actually simple. The AEO program is a voluntary program. So you start by expressing interest. Just write a letter to the Commissioner of Customs and say, I am this company, this is my address, I want to join the AEO program. Now, as soon as the Commissioner gets that letter, then we get a team who visits you and now take you through the journey. Give you some questionnaire to answer, they ask you some records, they work through the process. So if you are ready, you go on board. If you have some time to be prepared, we prepare you.
To reorganize yourself.
We prepare you. So it's an internal free consultancy. So that we can help you mindset change, process change, business change. What is complicated for us, we'll advise. Go to another person, go for mentorship. So that's the journey. One is you express interest. A team comes to you, works with you through a program. When the program is done, we also evaluate what we call, we look at your system. What are your systems? What are your processes? What are your controls? How good are they? How can they be relied on? What is your compliance history? So that we don't bring someone who could have been having fraud or something else. And then how do we now progress you? From there, we notify you. We call it the compliance order. Commissioner now gives you a report saying that you are authorized to become an AEO. We put you on the program, become an AEO. Then we progress other legal issues of MOUs and agreement, and then you get a certificate. So basically, it's about 4 stages. You express interest, the team comes to you. After verification, the team either approves you to go on board or puts you on a journey. We call it compliance improvement program. If there are some things that need to be done, then we authorize you, and then you become an AEO. Then after an AEO, is another zone of letting you free. I will not touch you. Do your own business. I will not control you. But once in a while, you come and check.
Just to verify that you're doing it. You're doing it
Because
the way you promised to
the
do.
principle of customs and trade is trust but check. Even at home, when the kids are in the bedroom, you go to find out, are they covering themselves? Not that you don't trust them, but you want to be sure. They actually falling asleep or they're sleeping the other way around, they may fall down. And if we can, please don't get worried. Please ask. It's part of the process.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you have shared this morning. And we are at the point of the show where we get to receive parting shots. And I'm going to start with you, Abbott Mwebembesi. What is that final word that you would like to give the viewer?
To the viewers outside there, the AEO, as agents, we have formed an association. This association is basically to bring us together, put our voices together, so that we can approach the URA with a good heart. And we know that with this contribution of 35%, the numbers on the AEO side double, the contribution will be much bigger.
Go to 60.
Exactly. And with less input, because this AEO program is looking at compliant agents. So we are requesting URA bring on board other AEOs, and we can be made as reference. And along the chain, as we grow these numbers, I'm sure some of these agents have been recommended by us who are the pioneers of this program. So as we grow this program together, the KPIs that URA will be putting in place within the new benefits manual, we do believe that it will take care of both the agent and the regulator. And with that in place, the sky will be the limit. Gets
Thank you so much, Albert. Indeed, the gates are wide open for the AOs because the more we have of them, the better it can get for trade in this country.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul, this is your moment.
I like to thank you, Solomon, whoever initiated this thought about something nice. Sometimes we always assume people know, but sometimes they don't know. I'm sure one or two people have picked one or two things today. I like to think that as AEOs, we were informed or promised facilitation, and we are seeing it. Let us work together to improve where we feel there is a weakness so that the supply chain is secure. And then we shall be able, as agents, to work well, as manufacturers, to produce more, to flourish, and help our nation. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, for the submission that you have just made this morning and for the kind words that you have accorded the team. Indeed, it can only get better. Charles, this is your moment.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. For starters, I'd like to thank URA for being open and allowing this program to take root, and the studio for facilitating us, and of course, all the players, the staff, and the AOs outside there. That's one. The second is I'd also want to speak to what my colleagues have said, an aspect of benefits, and also supply chain security, and to say that the supply chain has both manufacturer, transporter, customs agent, shipping lane, consolidator, importer. And the benefit scheme has a benefit for each of them. So the urge I would like to ask everyone outside there, whoever is an AEO, please do cross-referencing. If you're a clearing agent, ask your players to become AEOs. So that your benefits and the benefits of them join together to get a multiplier effect. If you're an importer and exporter, ask your transporter, your clearing agent to be an AEO. So that we can merge the benefits. There are benefits of the kitchen, benefits of the sitting room, benefits of the compound. So we need to put all together into one package. Yes. The last is to assure the public that URA is committed to this program, because to us, this is the future partnership. We can only partner with the clients we respect, we trust, and we cooperate.
Thank you so much, Charles, for really breaking it down. Like Charles clearly indicated earlier, they're averaging between 40% total trade volume that is actually handled through AEOs or by AEOs. The goal for URA is to grow this number to near 80%. And of course, at that point, we shall be having the multiplier effect in every sense of the word. Faster trade, higher revenue, coming through with the highest level of convenience, if I may. It's the dream of any revenue administrator to grow the tax regime or the taxpayers to get to that level where they are able to contribute the most that they can with the least compliance push possible. And of course, it would be unfair for me to wrap the show without acknowledging the team that you do not get to see. And that is the team from Customs Planning for the purposes of Customs 101, the team that is, of course, comprised of Jacqueline Emodeg and Jacinta Obore and Barbara, as well as the URA TV crew, the people behind the production, the people behind the cameras. And today's session is led by Trevor Sentongo, aka Trexon, who is working alongside Director Gabriel Chambade and the beautiful Rabiba Karim. From all of us at URA TV to you, adios.